Welcome back to the Elite Brand Clarity Formula series. Last time we talked about step one, which is evaluate your core. Today we are going to look at listen twice. And this listen twice is the process that I guide all of my students to do so that when you are collecting testimonials, be that from former clients or from people who know about your skill set, and this is a thing you intend to sell, that you are taking in information in a meaningful way and then transforming it into your assets, into your messaging, into your creative, and also into how you want to build your brand moving forward. I grew up in a household where we were instructed to listen twice and speak once. And that is probably the best advice any of us could have been given as a child. The more that we listen and listen with intention, the more likely we are to hear how people are talking about us. And once we figure out how people are talking about us, we can figure out, is this something that I want someone to say about me or is it not? Until we're clear about what we are hearing, we don't know if people are saying the right things about us or the wrong things about us. We can't prove what we don't ask about. Henry Ford said, you can't build a reputation on what you are going to do. A lot of times I will work with women and they will say, oh yeah, I'm getting to that, or I'm going to do that next. And putting your brand on hold is not and cannot and should not be an option for you. As a service provider, as an expert, your job is to continue to build this brand and then make sure it evolves as you scale and grow. What you are going to do next has nothing to do with what you've already done. And that's what people are critiquing you on. That is the reputation that you're leaving behind. So it's important that while you are building, you also have a look back period of what you've built and how it's affected the people that you have served, your ideal clients, and what they will say about you before they even get the chance to meet you. So, if you are on a mission to create a remarkable brand, then you need to very intentionally focus on the future, but then also make sure that the past sounds exactly the way you want it to. Even today, you are creating your history. Makes us pause when we think about it in that way. What if you could create a framework for how others speak about you? What if you could frame your brand in a way that it pretty much gives people the blueprint on what they need to be saying about you and how you intend for them to remember you? I invite you to take a look at your brand perception under this framework and in this lens, because so often we don't know the mirror that's in front of us. We don't know what we're fighting against with our brand and our reputation. So we go into content creation, we go into program creation, we start doing all of the things, not realizing that the reason our ideal clients can't find us is because it's the wrong thing that we're known for, or the pushback that we get about our pricing has to do with a poorly communicated product or service. Today, I invite you to think about the framework that you're using to assess your brand, because that's also the framework other people are assessing your brand with as well. The first thing we look at when we are assessing brands is, what is the quality of the product or service? As consumers, this is one of the factors that we look at when considering a brand. This quality could be because I do want a lot of quality, or it might be that I don't care what the quality is because it's a throwaway item. It's something I don't intend to use again, or something that doesn't have much utility or value add to my life. When we're thinking about positioning our brands in terms of quality, ask yourself, what quality experiences have I given people through my expertise, through my interactions, through my customer experience? What has that journey been when I steward them through my process, from the first time I connect with them through the last time I have a contact with them after closing the sale? What was the quality of the experience that they provided? And is that the thing that I want to be known for? There are a lot of brands who don't excel at quality because they want to focus on quantity. And so, whichever model you adopt, think, is this the level of quality that I have? Is this the level of quality that I want to provide? Or does it differ from what I thought my brand was actually doing? Is this a premium product? How will I know that I developed a premium product? And what ways can I ensure that people know that I am offering a premium service? One of the first things that I help women do is assess what level of quality do you want to put on the market. And of course, I say aim for excellence because that is the name of the game to create a remarkable brand. But there are some clients who want a more streamlined process almost immediately. And we see that when we look at programs and service offerings that are supposed to be offering this big bang for the buck. So if you think, oh, I can purchase this disc set for $97, well, you can do that en masse. Everyone has $97 to spare for the right product. So when you're thinking about the quality of your services, how does that align with the structure of everything else in your business? And then decide, is this where I want to position myself and my brand? Do I maybe want to do something a little bit more bespoke so that the quality is higher, the touch points are greater, and I'm scaling and growing in that way? These are some of the brand decisions that you need to start making while building this reputation. And then ask yourself, ask others, is this the experience you got, or was it something else? The second part is brand image. Now, of course, this means the physical image, the touch, the textures, the visual cues that your brand has historically sent to your audience. Are there colors that you always use? Fonts that lend themselves to your brand identity? How thoughtful have you been in selecting those? And what does that mean for the future of your brand? This also talks about how you've named your brand and why naming conventions are so important. People learn through alliteration, people learn through association. How has your brand visual image tied a word to an image that they already think about? And unless you are prepared to fight the battle, the uphill battle of creating a new name that is not known, you will want to focus on things that have a normal or standard visual cue. As you think about the colors and cues that you're sending, what images are being painted in people's minds? Ultimately, every time we hear something, it triggers an image in our mind of what the thing could be. It's why colors have visual images associated with them. Apples are red, oranges are orange. When we think lavender, we think purple. I wouldn't look at a brand that has lavender and then it's got a green color. It doesn't make sense in the mind. So the second part of framing is making sure that the associations, the words that you're using, the color schema that you're using is also in alignment with what humans naturally will process when it comes to those words or textures or ideas. So that's the second part of brand framing. What images, what imagery are you using, have you historically used to communicate your brand? Do you have a more human brand? Do you have brand with more automation, more caricature, maybe inanimate objects? There are a lot of faceless brands making a big wave on the internet right now. And they've managed to do that because they are pushing their services or products in the forefront and putting themselves behind. Ultimately, these are how people are going to associate you with your brand and brand identity. The third part of brand framing that people lean into when they say, what is this brand known for? Is reliability, credibility, right? All of those words that come into, did this brand do what I say it was going to do? Did this product outcome match the desired goals that I thought. It has nothing to do with quality. I could have a really high quality product but have a poor user experience, then that means I've missed the mark. Or even better, did the product exceed expectations for the outcomes? Did the service exceed expectations for what you thought was going to happen? And then the fourth thing that we assess when we're looking at people's reputations is the cost based on the value. Together, these four things make up your brand framework. And whether you realize it or not, this framework has followed you throughout your career and your business. If you are like so many of my other clients who have transitioned out of corporate and into entrepreneurship, then you know what it took to create a quality product within the framework of the job that you used to do and now as an entrepreneur. These are the same things that we assess employees on, for example, if we have transitioned out of corporate. Did this person have a quality performance, right? Performance appraisals. How did this person show up every day? Did they have on neat attire? Did they show up in stilettos? Did they have on a lot of makeup? Did they have colors in their hair? How reliable were they? Did they show up on time every time? Did they stay throughout the last meeting? Did they remember to shut off all the lights when they went home? Were they able to follow protocol? When you think about the value add, what title was that person and how did that title tie into how they were compensated? These are the things that are often overlooked but tie into our reputation. And as business leaders, our clients are going to be asking us these same questions. Am I getting a quality product every time? What is the level of quality that I can expect from this service? What packaging are you using? We are our own package. So, what are you wearing? What places do you show up in? How are you dressed? When it comes to reliability, do you answer phone calls within 24 hours? Do you promise to resolve client concerns within 48 hours? How is that building upon the reputation you want? And then, does it match your pricing? Does it match your pricing strategy based off of everything else? We make money available for what we value. Pricing is always the last thing people think about when they understand that they're getting a quality service, when they understand that the imaging behind the package matches what's probably inside, when you've built that reputation for showing up and being reliable and sturdy and bringing things to completion. Pricing is always the last thing that clients negotiate on. So if your clients are saying, "Oh, I don't know about the price," I want you to take a step back and say, well, do the other three areas align with the pricing model that I have? One organization that excels in getting all four areas of brand reputation right, that framework right, is Apple. Now, of course, this is a physical product, but if you look at the Apple model, they have a high quality product. The imagery behind it aligns with the quality that people expect when they buy a quality product from Apple. Their products are extremely reliable and they charge accordingly. So when we think about the user experience, when we go into the Apple store, the entire experience is carefully curated so that people will be prepared to say exactly what Apple wants them to say about the Apple brand. When you get a Mac, you know that you're going to get a different level experience than working with a PC. When you purchase an iPhone, you know that all of the accessories are sold separately, and all of those accessories are also at a premium price. When we think about how we can adapt the Apple model into our business, what might that look like for us to make sure that everything we do can be replicated and streamlined and easy enough for people to remember? That is how Apple has the competitive advantage for every single thing that they offer. And because of that, they have brand ambassadors who are willing to go ahead and talk about the product before the next thing hits the shelf. People were literally buying the iPhone 10 months in advance because Apple said, I am about to release the Apple 10. I'm about to release the iPhone 10. Ambassadors went out and said, oh my goodness, Apple is about to release the product. And they went and bought it in advance, got first dibs on it, and then started telling other people about it. This is how you want to position your brand. And Apple did not compromise on quality. They did not compromise on their service. Did not compromise on the utility, the function, or the visual package that they are known for. How can you implement some of these best practices into your brand today? Some other questions that you will want to ask yourself while you are considering your brand reputation and what you ultimately want to be known for is, what are your ethical and moral standards? How reliable are your outcomes? Can they be repeated time and time again? Or does some of the outcomes feel like a fluke or something that was unintended? How responsible how responsive are you to your clients' needs? Do you want them to have full access to you 24/7, or do you want to be able to do some really great FAQs and have it more be of a self-service experience? Each one of these determinants will factor into how you eventually price and should be pricing for your products, services, and offerings. Most of us don't have enough information about our brand reputation to even make decisions like that. We fear asking, thinking that we are providing transformational results and experiences when it's not always the case, or what we thought someone got from our framework is totally different than what we thought we were doing. The ask is also the number one reason why women in businesses don't succeed. We don't know how to ask for the sale. We don't know how to ask for testimonials. So while today is about framing your reputation and what you want to be known for, I want to also say that getting in the habit of asking for testimonials is one of many steps to securing sales, especially since 80% of sales comes from quality referrals. And the more referrals you get, the higher your sales will be because people like referrals. And as consumers, we're more likely to spend when it comes from a recommendation that we know. Next, think about who you are asking for referrals. Who is giving you this information? Are people volunteering it? Right? Are people standing in line to volunteer information to you? Or do you need to go out and seek very specific feedback from people you've interacted with, from clients you've already interacted with? I challenge you to start seeking compliments and critiques. And we don't typically want to hear the bad news, but the bad news helps us be better. The bad news will help us shape the things that we are supposed to be doing and help us clean up processes that might need improvement, or to remove things from our service offerings if they don't belong in a specific experience. Seeking compliments and critiques will also help set a neutral experience for how you're taking in information about your brand and business. This is especially important as a solopreneur, to take the good and the bad and process it in a way that you can be independent from what people are saying and figure out how to drive your brand forward. So, yes, it is time to check the ego at the door and ask for all types of feedback so that you can learn and grow from it. This is where the brag book comes in so handy. So, Sybil, what is a brag book? This is a collection, a compilation of every single testimony, critique, point of feedback that you have been given. Keep in mind, especially if you are newer to being in business, you might not have hundreds of feedback touch points specifically from clients, but what you do have is years of experience in service. So put that information into your brag book as well. I'll tell you a little story about how I started developing my brag book. This was when I was back in human resources and I was at an event. Someone came up to me and said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm an HR executive." And they said, "Oh, so you're the dumping ground for all bad ideas." Now, I did not take that as a compliment at all. In fact, it kind of got on my nerves just a little bit. This is how the brag book began. I went home in my journal and I wrote down, wow, this person thought that HR is a dumping ground for all bad ideas. And I thought about it. Not only did that not really reflect me, it reflected the industry that I was in. While that comment did not directly reflect me, it reflected the reputation for the industry that I was in at that time. To that person, HR really was the dumping place where all bad ideas go. And I thought to myself, if this is the reputation of my industry at that time, how can I position it differently? And thus, the brag book was born. I took some very intentional effort and said, what is the compliment in the critique? The critique is HR is where all bad ideas go to die. For me, that meant HR is a place where new ideas can be reborn from potentially bad ideas, that new processes can be created because of an idea someone thought was not good enough. So when you're looking at your brag book and developing it, I want for you to exercise that same level of intention, especially if you are in an industry that historically does not have a great reputation or that does not have a good reputation in the market right now. It's very much similar as other coaches and consultants are experiencing, where there are a lot of predatory coaching programs out there. And so you're going to have to not only fuel your reputation, but also change how the industry is being perceived if you are a coach or consultant like me. There are a couple of different ways that you can go about developing your brag book. And I highly recommend figuring out a way to collect as much feedback as possible. I always say start off with 25, but of course, the more the better. There are a lot of different ways you can ask people for feedback, and that really depends on the turnaround that you anticipate for the feedback and also the type of feedback that you value as a practitioner. My favorite type of feedback is always going to be video. Video is the number one way that I enjoy getting feedback. And this is the number one way that I tell all of my students to get feedback as well, because it can turn into written format. It can turn into a testimonial card, and people connect visually. So the fact that you've got a video, someone willing to put their face on camera to talk about you, that is one of the most powerful ways you can build your brand reputation. The next way is through text messaging. Of course, there are written through surveys or formal testimonial review processes. Maybe someone gives you an audio recording because they don't want to be on camera, but they don't mind giving the story behind how you served. And then last are through Google ratings or structured rating systems like a SurveyMonkey, that sort of thing. Regardless, figure out how you will begin collecting as many testimonials as possible to put in your brag book so that you can listen once to what people are saying. But again, this exercise is about listening twice. I've got an excerpt here from the brag book that I give all of my students. And this is how not only I show them the way to collect testimonials, but also to figure out how many they've got. And this is a process that I also use in my own business. This spreadsheet, if you want to do it in Excel or through the brag book process, is a great way to track who you've served, how many people you served, when you served, what you've sold, because that's really important to anchor the product to the messaging that people are giving you, the feedback that they're giving you, and then the kind of content or testimonial that has been provided. In this example, client name is Samantha. She purchased the 90-day experience. The dates served are May through August 2024, and she's done a video testimonial and a text message testimonial. Keywords that she used was a force to be reckoned with. Now, some of us wait until the very last minute to collect a testimonial. I say anytime someone is elated or expresses joy with the work that you are doing, that is your opportunity to ask for the testimonial. Do not think you have to wait till the end of the experience to collect feedback. You should be figuring out how to collect feedback in an ongoing process so that you're not scrambling at the end. And then maybe at the end of the experience of working with you, you also send them the formal survey or say, please do a Google review. So see, there are a lot of different touch points that you can create to get the testimonials without people thinking that you want all 5 or 6 of them at one time. How can you get clever in getting your testimonial numbers up? For most business owners, they stop right here. And not that this is not a good place to stop, because again, getting to 25 testimonials, 50 testimonials, 100 testimonials is a feat in itself. But I want to challenge you to take it one step further. I need you to be an investigator of every single testimony that has ever been given to you, every single critique that someone has provided you. You need to be a student. You should be a student of your brand. For example, I got this testimonial from one of my clients. And initially I thought, oh my gosh, where is she going with this? I'm happy to know that I'm getting it wrong. Oh my goodness. But then she kept going. I'm completely confident because you do fantastic work. I have complete confidence. So inside this testimonial is the before, ineffective branding. The after is confidence. And from there, I said, okay, great. Are these the things that make sense for my brand? Is this the transformation that I thought I was giving her? And did it meet or exceed expectations? So when you do this exercise of listening twice, ask, what words and phrases did the person use when they were describing my services? How often did they talk about my expertise versus the feelings that they got from working with me? How were those feelings communicated? What problem or problems do they believe you solved? And what did they believe the transformation was? Listening twice requires you to ask these questions once you play back the feedback. Again, collecting testimonials is great. Listening to them, dissecting them, and figuring out how to use them next is even better. How can you use those exact words inside your content to strengthen your brand? Elizabeth Arden said, repetition makes reputation and reputation makes customers. How many times can someone repeat exactly what you want them to say about you so that you can continue to get the ideal clients that you desire? Once you've done the dissection, you should now be ready to pro-con every single critique and point of feedback. It is imperative to pro-con this list because being known for everything means being known for nothing. Your job is to figure out, is this what I want to be known for? This is the hallmark of listening twice. When you think, definitely yes, I want to be known for this, or please no, do not ever say this thing about me, rank it there. There should be no gray areas in your brand. Gray areas are a sign of brand confusion, which means lower commitment for clients, which means attracting the wrong clients or not attracting enough of the right clients. You want to stay as far out the gray as possible with your brand, your reputation, and how you're communicating about you. You want to equally make sure that people feel the exact same thing about you as well. And I know no one wants to hear this, but people should feel hot or cold about your brand. Otherwise, it's not strong enough. Are there not brands that you strongly are against and strongly are for? That should be the same thing that you are aiming for. This is how you build authority. This is how you get to be known as the one. People should be strongly in your favor or strongly okay with choosing another product. I go back to the Apple model. There are Apple users who are strongly Apple who will never go Android. That is the power of a remarkable brand, of an elite brand. When you get to a place where people strongly prefer you or they will go Android, that is where you want to be as you build your brand authority. Then ask yourself, what actions am I taking for people to believe the definitely yes things about me? What do I need to stop doing so I can stop having the please no list? What do I see from this feedback that I maybe didn't see before, that I didn't gather before? What are things that I have learned about me that I need to edit or change or keep doing even more so that my brand leans towards the definitely yes for me and for my ideal clients? The last thing you want to do is reprogram the messengers. We all want brand ambassadors. Again, referrals can equate up to 80% of your income and revenue. So making sure that they are programmed with the right message so that they are referring the right people to you is essential. If you don't tell people what you want them to say, they are going to say what they want. This is why it is so essential to control the narrative, to ensure that what you want said is exactly what people will say when you are not in those rooms, when your brand stands alone, when people find you on the internet or through your website. That is you telling people what to say. Otherwise, humans are very creative. We will fill in the blank with whatever makes sense to us in that moment, and that will either drive us toward a buying decision or drive us away from it. How easy can you make it to remember something specific about you? Ask yourself, how can I tell my audience what to say and when to say it, in what order to say it? What questions can I ask the people that are giving me feedback and my clients that will separate me from everyone else as I continue to build my brand? What do I need to do differently in terms of the quality of my product, the images behind my product? How reliable do people expect me to be? Do I need to amp up my reliability on how fast I answer emails or return phone calls? How fast I set up my next webinar? How much I hold true to the expectations that I've communicated? Ask yourself, what language is mandatory for your brand and what language is not suitable for your brand? Do you want to be named generic or luxury? These are the questions that you need to think about as you begin reprogramming not only the messengers, but also yourself while you are building your brand. One of my favorite things to do with my clients is to make them fill in the blank. And I invite you to do this exercise. If I can make my ideal clients believe that my skill set is the best way to accomplish their goals, then I will be positioned to be known for my brand identity and objections will cease to exist. Insert your business into this framework now. This is how you build a reputation. This is how you take everything you've heard and turn it into what you want people to say about you. If I can make my ideal clients believe that my skill set is the best way to accomplish their goals, then I will be well positioned to be known for this brand identity that I am building, and objections based on price and value and every other reason people give us to not work with us, those will cease to exist. The next activity that you need to do for you, because building a brand is about others, but it's also about you and hearing you and your beliefs about you. Once I get clear that my brand identity is this, and I no longer do these other things within my brand frame, the easier it will be for this group of people to find me and for former clients to be brand ambassadors effortlessly. Keywords here are easy and effortless. It needs to be easy for your ideal clients to find you and effortless for brand ambassadors to talk about you. So, what is your frame? Pick your frame, figure out the quality of product or service you intend to offer, package it appropriately with colors using color psychology, words, language, fonts, images, graphic design. Figure out how reliable you want your brand to be, and then communicate the pricing based off of that. That is how you set your frame. Some action steps as we wrap up. Start asking for feedback. Yes, if you have not asked for feedback, today is the day. I don't care if it is someone you worked with 5 years ago or 5 days ago. Gauge their responses to what they believe you did. Tweak your approach as needed in the questions that you're asking, the quality of questions you're asking, or how you are presenting yourself. And then begin delivering your new framework, your new brand framework with intention to teach people how you want to be talked about. This concludes the second part of the Elite Brand Clarity Formula. In the next step, we are going to go to I, which is identify personal keywords. See you all on the other side.